Welcome back. Quick recap. Hannah just fainted after somewhat realizing that Dr. Myers and April might have been sleeping together. Okay. After. When Hannah wakes, it's to a confusion of noise, people. Oh, wait a minute. When Hannah wakes, it's to a confuse of noise, people crowding around her, Durant saying, "Give her some air," over and over. And November kneeling beside her, concern all over her face. There is a coat under her head, and someone has removed her glasses. It makes her feel strangely vulnerable, even more than she already did. "Someone call an ambulance," she hears, and she struggles up onto her elbow. No, no, please, I don't need an ambulance." Her voice is shaky, but she tries to put conviction into it. "I'm pregnant, that's all." "You're pregnant?" The words don't seem to calm Durant down. If anything, he looks more alarmed, like she is a ticking bomb that might explode at any moment. "We need to get you checked over. Is there a doctor here?" November calls over her shoulder to one of the hovering hotel staff. She stands up. "Anyone? Do you guys have a house doctor for the hotel?" "I'm a doctor." The voice comes from the far side of the foyer, a man's voice, his accent English, not Scottish, getting louder as the footsteps approach. "Can I help?" Hannah tries to sit up. Without her glasses, all she can see is a blur of faces. "This lady, she fainted," Durant is saying in a worried voice. "She's pregnant. Should we be calling an ambulance?" "I really don't think I need an ambulance," Hannah says. She feels on the verge of tears. This can't be happening. She looks at the doctor, pleading with him to say it's nothing serious. People don't faint when they're pregnant, don't they? Wait a minute. People do faint when they're pregnant, don't they? I didn't eat breakfast. The doctor is opening his bag. Inside is a stethoscope and a blood pressure monitor. He smiles kindly. "Well, it's not uncommon for low blood pressure to cause faintness in early pregnancy, but getting as far as actually passing out, that's a bit less standard. Do you mind?" He holds out the blood pressure cuff, and Hannah gives a shaky nod of assent. He straps the cuff around Hannah's arm, inflates it, and puts the stethoscope to the curve of her elbow, listening as the cuff deflates. Then he sits back and smiles reassuringly. "Probably nothing to worry about, but I think we should get you along to the maternity department for a spot of monitoring. How far gone are you? 23. No, almost 24 weeks. 24 tomorrow. Can someone call my husband?" "I've got your phone," November says, holding it up, and then turns to the doctor. "Thank you for checking her over. She should be in the hospital, right?" She jerks her head at Hannah, her huge earrings swaying. The doctor nods reluctantly. "I'm afraid so. It's a long time since I've done obstetrics, but actually passing out does warrant a check. Your BP is a little bit low, a little bit up. They may want to take some blood and do a trace." "I've got a driver around the corner," November says. She puts up her leather jacket from the back of the chair. "Give me 5 minutes. I'll get him to pull up at the front." "I can manage," Hannah says. She feels almost tearful at the idea of being ushered out of the foyer into a waiting car like an invalid being carted off. "I don't need a lift. I can call Will. Get the bus." "By all means, call your husband, but I'm not putting you on a bloody bus. It's my car or the ambulance," November says. She folds her arms, and her expression is pure April at her most hauntingly inarguable. "Which is it to be?" Hannah shuts her eyes. She knows when she is beaten. Some 45 minutes later, Hannah is sitting in a padded chair in the maternity unit of the Royal Infirmary, a monitor strapped to her stomach, a blood pressure cuff around her arm, and November, slightly uncomfortable with all of this, perched on the edge of a plastic stool beside her. She's had a pee test and given what felt like about a pint of blood in little vials, And now part of her wants to be left alone with her thoughts, but a larger part of her wants anything but. Mostly, she wants Will, but his phone is ringing out. Where is he? Will ain't answering his phone for his pregnant wife. Do you want me to try again? November asks, as if reading her mind. She has been allowed to stay as Hannah's companion, which feels a little strange given Hannah has known her all of 90 minutes. But there is something about her, something so close to April that she feels as if it's been much longer. Here she goes. No, I'll do it, Hannah says, knowing that Will shouldn't hear this from November. She rubs her arm where the bruise from the needle is beginning to bloom, and then dials his number for what her phone says is the 9th time. 9 times and he ain't answer. It rings and rings. She hangs up. Call me, she texts. It's kind of urgent. She put the phone down in her lap, fighting the tears. It's not just the fact that Will is unreachable, it's everything. The idea that she has somehow caused this with her own actions, put her baby at risk by investigating April's death. But the alternative feels equally unbearable. For how can she spend the next 16 weeks in this state of agonizing uncertainty, obsessing over what she saw and thought and said? She just wants to know, to prove Durant's fears wrong and move on with her life. The baby flutters inside her stomach and the monitor whooshes, speeding up with her heart. Is there someone else? November asks now. Anyone else you can call, I mean? Hannah shakes her head. Not really. My mom lives miles away. But if you need to go, I'm not going, November says firmly. Not until you're discharged. But I'm happy to wait in the car if you don't want me here. I get that this is weird. I mean, we hardly know each other. No, I'm happy for you to stay. It's nice to talk. Okay then, November says. She folds her arms. I'll stay. There is a silence punctuated only by the whoosh and click of machines and the faint conversation of the women in the next bay. It could have been Dr. Myers, Hannah says. It's what's been preying on her mind ever since that moment in the hotel. And now it's a relief to say the words out loud. But there's also a different quality. It is as if saying them makes the possibility real. He was already on the staircase. He could have got access to the room between Neville leaving and Hugh and me arriving. Durant's right. If he was sleeping with April, if he had gotten a student pregnant, well, that would give him motive and opportunity. Neville was convinced because he was the only person who had the opportunity to kill April. He never had a motive, but Myers, he's the one person who could have slipped in there without anyone noticing. I wonder if he was ever interviewed, November says. Her expression is somber. I mean, the police must have asked him whether he heard anything, but was he ever seriously a suspect? I don't know, Hannah says. I never saw him in court, but I wasn't allowed to see the other. She breaks off. Her phone is buzzing in her lap. She turned the ringer off in semi-deference to the hospital no mobile phone sign, but now is vibrating with an incoming call. It's Will. Thank God. Will. Hannah. He sounds out of breath. I just got your message. I was swimming. What happened? Are you okay? She swallows. Will is not going to like this. I fainted, she says at last. I've gone into the maternity unit for some monitoring. There is a long pause. Hannah can tell he is trying to keep himself in check, not overreact, make her more upset, particularly after their recent argument. She hears him swallow on the other end of the phone. How is everything all right? he says carefully. Is the baby okay? I think so, she says. I haven't been signed off yet, but they keep coming in and looking at the baby's heartbeat chart, and they don't seem too worried. Good, Will says. Look, I can be there in... His voice goes faint, and she can tell he's looking at his phone screen, figuring out how long the journey will take. Then he comes back on. 20, 25 minutes? I don't know if I'll still be here. Hannah looks up at the clock on the wall. When they hooked me up, they said they'd monitored me for half an hour. It's been nearly that now. Shall I call you when I know what's happening? Okay, Will says. He sounds worried, but also like he's trying to keep his concerns from her. I love you. And Han? Yes? I'm really sorry about, you know. It's okay, she says. For anyone else, his words might be hard to decode, but Hannah knows he means their fight. She bites her lip. She wishes Will were here. This isn't your fault, I promise. Okay, he says, though he doesn't sound completely convinced. Love you. Love you too. She hangs up. November has moved away, trying to give at least an illusion of privacy, but now she turns around, looking over her shoulder. Everything okay? I think so. There's a rattle at the door, and a tall, smiling obstetrician comes in holding a clipboard. Hannah? Yes, Hannah says. She struggles to sit up straighter in the padded chair, the plastic creaking. Yes, that's me. Excellent. Could we have a moment? She looks at November, though it's not clear whether she's inviting her to leave or stay. I'll be in the corridor, Hannah, November says tactfully. She picks up her bag and slips out. The doctor takes November's stool and begins to look through Hannah's notes and at the readout on the monitor. Well, she says at last, I hear you had a little fainting spell. Hannah nods. I think I don't know. I had a bit of a shock, low blood pressure today. I feel fine now. Well, the good news is you look fine, and so does baby. All the vitals are really good, and your urine is clear. But we do want to keep an eye on your blood pressure. How do you mean? Well, it's been creeping up a bit over the last few appointments, and I'm afraid it's a bit higher than we'd like. What? But I don't understand. The doctor at the hotel said low blood pressure was what makes people faint. It can be, but yours isn't very low, I'm afraid. I understand it's been up at the last couple of checks. Yes, but there were reasons. Hannah feels tears rising in her throat, forces them down. If only Will were here. I ran there. You don't understand. Have you had any headaches, flashing lights, dizzy spells? No. I mean, other than today, obviously, but the rest, no, absolutely not. I feel completely fine. Well, I think we like to get it down regardless. I'm going to give you a prescription. It's a very safe drug. We've been using it for years with pregnant women. You're kidding. Hannah's heart is sinking. A hollow feeling of guilt and anger at her body's betrayal taking its place. Medication? I don't want to take drugs. Can't I just, take it easy? It's very safe, the doctor repeats. She is trying to be reassuring. Hannah can see that, but she feels anything but reassured. In fact, her heart is racing. The trace on the monitor spikes up and up. She feels again that sickening slide into uncertainty she experienced after April's death. The sensation that events have taken over and that her life is spiraling out of control. Only this time, it's not police officers telling her where to go and what to do and how to feel. It's a doctor with a white coat, but the same pity, understanding smile that Hannah knows so well. No, she says forcefully. No, this isn't okay. This can't be happening. Your baby is fine, the doctor says again gently. This really is just about taking the best care of you both. I understand it's upsetting when things don't go. I'm not upset, Hannah explodes, though it's so patently untrue that part of her wants to give a sobbing laugh at the irony of that fact. Her throat is tight and she feels like crying, but she cannot, will not. She takes a deep breath. I'm sorry. I am obviously upset. It's so unexpected. I feel like things were fine a week ago, and now it's like someone has come in and taken over and everything is out of my hands and moving in a direction I don't want and can't control. That's what she wants to say, but she won't. Because although it's true, this is how she feels. The rational part of her knows that this reaction is only partly about the baby and her blood pressure. A far larger part of it is about April and Neville, about what happened then, and about what is unfolding now. And suddenly, with that thought, Hannah knows what she is going to do, and she feels her heart rate slow, and a kind of peace unfolds inside her. Because Hannah has had her life ripped away from her by events beyond her control once before, she does not intend to let it happen again. This time, she will be in charge. In charge of what? And your blood pressure going up because you need to know. Okay. After. So where to? November asks as Hannah sinks into the leather-scented interior of the limousine. Not back to work? Clearly. Fuck, the shop. Hannah feels like smacking herself in the forehead with a paper bag of pills she is holding. I completely forgot about work. I need to phone my colleague. Can you drop me in Stockbridge? I live in Stockbridge Mews. It's near Dean Park Street. I have no idea where that is, November says pleasantly, but assuming Arthur does, then yes. She leans forward to talk to the driver while Hannah calls the shop. When Robin answers, Hannah explains the situation, filled in Robin's shocked concern and listening to her admonishments to go home, rest up, and on no account to come in next week. I'm not going to take it as sick leave, Hannah says now, in answer to the last in Robin's long line of instructions. I'm not ill, but I've got loads of holiday left. I'm going to ask Kathy if I can take a week as leave. Good, Robin said sternly. I don't want to see your face for at least a week. Now go, rest, relax, eat chocolate, and don't worry. She hangs up and Hannah signs. I've been sent home, she texts Will. Everything's okay, baby's fine, I'm getting a lift. See you shortly. Everything all right? November says, and Hannah nods. Yes, work is being really nice. It makes me feel like a complete shit. Why? November asks in surprise. It's not your fault. Hannah only shakes her head. It's not because she believes what happened today was her fault. It's because she has no intention of following Robin's advice. It's not that she doesn't want to, but she can't. She was swept along by events 10 years ago, and she has spent every year since struggling against that feeling of powerlessness and panic. This time, she is not going to sit there while Durant digs around in her past and lawyers do things behind the scene. She's going to take control. I'm going down to Oxford, she said to November. I think it's the only way. Since Neville's death, I've been going crazy, running over and over my memories of that night, trying to figure out if I was right, if I really did see what I thought. But the more I find out, the more the whole case feels wrong. I feel like there was something that I missed, something that's been eluding me all these years. What do you mean? November asks uncertainly. What kind of thing? I don't know. That's the problem. Maybe if I go back, talk to the other people who were there that night, speak to Dr. Myers. She swallows. I have a friend in Oxford, Emily. I spoke to her a couple of weeks ago when Neville died, and she invited me down. I brushed her off at the time. I couldn't think of anything worse than going back. But now, Now I'm going to say yes. Okay. She looks at November. November's expression is worried. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Will does. I don't think you're crazy, November says slowly. I'm not sure traveling to Oxford alone is such a great idea. It'll be really obvious that you're going down there to poke around, ask questions. So, what are you saying? I need some kind of alibi? I'm saying, November takes a deep breath. I'm saying, take me. Suspicious. Take you? Hannah tries not to let her face show her surprise. But we barely know each other, she thinks. Although it's only half true. She's only known November a few hours, but she's April's sister. A part of Hannah feels like she knows her much longer. Look, I've never been there. November is speaking fast now, trying to get her point across. To Oxford, I mean. I never saw where April lived and where she died. And honestly, that bothered me. It bothered me then, and it's bothering me now. You could bring me down to Oxford and tell Myers the truth. That Neville's death stirred up some ghosts for me, and I want to lay them to rest by seeing where April lived. I don't think the college authorities would refuse that. No, Hannah said slowly. No, I don't suppose they would. The more she thinks about it, the more it feels like a good plan. There's safety in numbers, and November will be able to ask questions that Hannah can't. We should make sure he's still there, November is saying. What's his full name? Horatio. It feels strange on Hannah's tongue, oddly intimate. She remembers April's word the night of Dr. Myers' party. Horatio asked me and a couple of girls to go for drinks in town. It seems scarcely believable now, such a clear crossing of lines. November taps at her phone and then holds it out for Hannah to see. That's him, right? That's him, Hannah says. It's the Pelham College English faculty page, first entry. Professor Horatio Myers, Senior Dean of Arts. A little older, a little grayer, but surprisingly unchanged. Much less so than Neville, the hollow-out ghost of a man staring out from the BBC website. Myers, by contrast, looks sleek, well-fed, like someone who has lived very comfortable in the intervening years. We're just coming up to Stockbird Mews, Miss Rain, comes a voice from the front of the car over the intercom, and Hannah jumps. November presses a button. Thank you, Arthur. She turns to Hannah. It was so lovely to meet you, Hannah. This will probably sound stupid, but I feel a lot closer to April than I have in years. Hannah nods. It doesn't sound stupid because she feels the same way. Are you sure, she says, about coming to Oxford, I mean? Because you don't have to. If you feel like you have to look after me, then don't. I'll be with Emily, or I can ask Will. I'm coming because I want to, November says. The car slides to a halt and Hannah picks up her bag. Well, thank you, and thank you for the lift. It was nothing. Take care of yourself, Hannah. I will, Hannah says. She climbs out and watches the car draw away. November's silhouette getting smaller and smaller in the rear window. And for a moment, she looks so like April that it almost breaks Hannah's heart. Okay, so she about to go back to Pelham, so she's not giving this thing up. She mean business. She gonna get her some answers. Now, I want to know, well, she seemed like she discussed everything with Will, right? So is she about to talk to Will about her going back? And oh boy, how is his reaction going to be? Is he going to be trying to talk her out of it or what? We shall see. After. You have got to be kidding me. Oh, that explains it. Will expression when Hannah tells him over supper what she is planning in a mixture of frustration, shock, and confusion. What on earth are you going back there? And why now? Right when you should be resting up. He jerks his head towards the pharmacy bag Hannah left sitting on the arm of the sofa while they ate supper. The doctor was really clear, and she said there's no need for me to cut down on work or anything, Hannah said again patiently. They have been through this already. It was the first thing she told Will when she walked through the door and found him pacing the living room, Googling high blood pressure in pregnancy on his phone. It's a really low dose. They give it to pregnant women all the time. I specifically asked her if I should reduce my hours, and she said no need. This is not a big deal, just to make sure I had a chair and to take plenty of breaks. I mean, this is a break. That's the whole point. And as for November, Will says as if she hasn't spoken, does she understand what you went through? Does she have any idea what she's asking? She's not asking for anything. It was my idea to go to Oxford, not hers. And you like her, Will, Hannah says. She takes Will's hand, feeling the tendons and the fine bones, rubbing her fingers across his knuckles. She picks it up and kisses the back. You really would. She's like, she stops, trying to think of how to put it. She's like April, but I don't know, kinder maybe? And she does understand because she's been through something very similar herself. Was she dragged through the courts? Will said angrily. Was she doorstepped every day for months? The last one? Hannah lets Will's hand drop. Oh, almost certainly yes, Will. She's April's sister. Can you imagine what that must have been like? She was 11 when April was killed. She spent most of her childhood trying to come to terms with that fact, watching her sister get ripped apart in the press and her dad die from the stress of it. I'm pretty sure she gets it. Will has the grace to look slightly ashamed at that. I had no idea April's father had died. When did that happen? A couple of years ago, I think. Will pushes his plate to one side and puts his head in his hands. When he looks up, his expression is drained, almost gone, and his hair is ruffled. You know I don't want you to go, right? I know, Hannah says gently, but I need to do this, Will. I've spoken to Emily. I'm traveling down Thursday, and we're going to do a tour of Pelham Friday afternoon. Emily's going to set up a meeting with Dr. Myers. On Friday? Will looks, if anything, even more dismayed. But I'm working. I won't be able to get the time off at such short notice. I didn't think you'd want to come. You said yourself you didn't want to dig all this up. I don't, but I don't want you down there by yourself, meeting up with strange men. Hardly strange, Will. Possibly very, very strange, if your suspicions are correct. And I won't be by myself. I'll be with Emily in November in a very public place. I mean, what do you think? He's going to come lurching out of his study with an axe? I have no idea, Will says. He stands up now as if his constrained emotions are too great to allow him to continue sitting placidly at the table and begins to pace the living room. All I know is I don't want my pregnant wife going to talk to a potential killer. I have to do this. Hannah stands too. She knows her voice is rising and her face is flushed. Don't you understand, Will? No, Will shout back. No, I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. There is a moment of silence as they both stand glaring at each other, and then into the silence comes a resounding bang, bang, bang that makes them both jump. Their downstairs neighbor is pounding on the ceiling with a broom handle, telling them to keep the noise down. I'm sorry, Hannah says, at the same time that Will says, oh, Hannah, love. And then somehow she's in his arm and he's pressing his lips to the top of her head, and she can feel the tightness in her throat and the tears prickling at the back of her eyes. Please, he whispered in her ear. Please. And she knows what he wants to say. Please don't go. She knows him so well she can hear the words straining at his lips, knows that he wants to fall on his knees and kiss her bump and beg her not to do this. But instead he says, "Please be careful." You know him so well, do you? "Please be careful, Hannah. I love you so much. If anything happened, it won't," she says. She kisses him gently, carefully, and then more urgently, feeling that familiar unfurling inside her, that longing for him that is never quite quenched, that 10 years of him has not been enough to satisfy. "I love you," she says, and he is saying the words back, speaking them against her cheekbone, her throat, the curve of her neck. Now he sits, drawing her into his lap, and she folds into him, thinking that they won't be able to do this much longer, that soon her bump will be too ungainly. "I love you," she whispers again, and he looks up at her and smiles. And though he is older and his face has lines of weariness, it is the same smile that first caught her heart the day in the hall at Pelham. She wonders how many times she has traced his features in her mind's eye since then. The crinkle at the corner of his mouth, the crooked bump of his long-heeled broken nose. 100? 1,000? As she lay in bed in New Quad thinking about collections, as she paced the streets of Dodsworth, trying not to think about the upcoming trial, as she tried to sleep in her first rented flat in Edinburgh, reading his letters with her heart aching for everything she had left behind. Now she reaches out and touches his face, running her fingers down the ridges of his brow and the crook of his nose. And she thinks, "You are mine. You were always mine." "I'll be careful," she says now, "I swear. But I have to do this." And Will simply nods, defeated. How many times she says she loved him? Let me see. I think she said it twice. Did he say it back? Nah, because he mad, right? He big mad. Oh, okay. So will he take off and go down there as well? We shall find out. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.